the story of Gunner Kennels, and honestly, I kind of get choked up at the end because I sit there and talk about how it was just me and Gunner, and then somebody introduced me to my now wife Emily that said, so they met me because of Gunner, and then they said, look, I got this girl that you're going to marry.
Welcome to the Foul Front Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, where our goal is to recruit and educate new hunters while entertaining the rest of you. Without new hunters and the mentorship of those more seasoned, this passion as we know it faces an uncertain future. So get the word out, turn the volume up, and enjoy the show, because you're on the Foul Front. All right, today I've got Addison Edmonds from Gunner Kennels on with us. How you doing today, Addison?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'm really excited to have you on. Huge fan of what you guys are doing and your product. And funny story about how I actually got, when I bought my first kennel with you. I'll be honest with you, had nothing to do with my decision-making process.
Yeah.
I looked at the kennels and oh man, those are, And but I looked at them, but they're like, oh, I like overbuilt things. That's nice, you know what I mean? But I say that we have 3 dogs and a baby. My wife says we have 4 babies.
That's right.
And we just moved here to Kansas, and we're going to be driving home to Nebraska a lot with them, and that's about a 3-hour drive. So we were looking into getting to toppers or something like that, something to make the ride a little bit better, so we don't have to cram everybody in there.
Right.
And she said, "Hey, what about these Gunner Kennel things?" I said, "Are you serious?" And she said, "Yeah, look at them. That's the only thing I'd feel safe putting my dogs in the back." And I said, "All right." So we went and bought one, and have not turned back. The second we opened that thing and put it together, it's kind of like finding Jesus. How can you go back?
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, they're definitely overbuilt, and they definitely cost more than your average dog kennel. But the whole goal was try to make something, number one, just that I felt comfortable traveling with my dog Gunner in. And unfortunately, for me, I definitely try to hit it with a big hammer. So we try to overbuild everything we can. So that was actually, when you said overbuilt, I mean, that's a big term that I like to hear. Is that it's overbuilt.
No, absolutely. I mean, and I think a lot of waterfowl hunters would agree with you. You got to have something that can hold up. You got to have something you look at that and you think somebody didn't cut any corners when they made that or designed it.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. It took like. Excuse me. I'm trying to clean 2 shotguns while we're doing this. So if you hear any spray or noises while we're doing this, but it took over a year and a half to actually get it designed. I knew what I wanted in terms of it's got to be safe, it's got to be over the top in terms of features and everything, but it's got to look good. But I didn't actually know what that meant, what it was going to look like. So it took a lot of iterations and a lot of time and money to get it designed. But pretty pleased with how it turned out.
So let's back this up because
sure.
When did you start hunting?
So, I don't know. My dad didn't grow up hunting, but he knew that I liked it. And I had a lot of cousins and uncles that hunted and fished. And so, started getting into hunting and fishing at an early age. And, it's kind of, a lot of it was backyard BB gun type stuff. I think I went on my first real hunting trip when I was probably 10. I've got it over here. I'm down in my shop in my garage. I've got a 11 point that I shot with a 410 slug when I was 10 years old in South Alabama.
I didn't even know they made that kind of ammunition.
Yeah. But started at an early age and then just literally got bit by the bug and when it came time for me to be able to drive my own truck, I was big into sports in high school, but anytime I wasn't doing sports, I was hunting or fishing, whenever I could. So I wasn't necessarily quote unquote raised going to like a camp every single weekend and doing it. But, as much as I could, I was hunting and fishing and just ate up with it from the start.
This is all in north central Tennessee?
Yeah, Central Tennessee, duck hunting wise, Arkansas, with some neighbors that I grew up going hunting with, and then deer hunting in Alabama, and on towards my college years. So I went to Ole Miss, University of Mississippi. When I went down there when I was about 14 for a wedding, I just saw a bunch of land everywhere. I was like, wow, this looks good. I'm going to go here for college, and did a lot of deer and duck hunting in the Mississippi Delta. All throughout college.
Awesome. Do you remember the first duck or first waterfowl that you harvested?
Yes, I've actually got them. So I shot a mallard and a widgeon when I was probably 14 at a camp just about an hour and a half west of here. One of my dad's buddies said, "Hey, we got this youth hunt. Bring Addison." And we went out there, and I think they actually filmed it for like a local Tennessee outdoor show. But yeah, I shot a widgeon and a mallard that weekend, and I've got it mounted in my office to this day.
That's really cool. I wish I would have had the forethought when it came to my first bird I harvested, but yeah. So. Okay, so I ride around and I have my kennels because I've got an intermediate and I've got a large, and
right.
I don't ever take them out of the back of my pickup, and they're just chained in there with some padlocks, and then obviously the straps. And I have people come up to me all the time and say, "Hey, where'd you get those things?" It's almost a conversation starter.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about the name. Who's Gunner?
So Gunner is my almost 10-year-old British Lab. He's sitting in the garage right now. He's about 10 yards away from me. So I grew up with chocolate labs, but I didn't hunt them obviously when I was younger. And when I was about a junior or sophomore in college, I decided I'm going to get a hunting lab, and I wanted to be a chocolate lab. And I was still living with 5 or 6 roommates at the time. I didn't want the dog to chew up all my roommates' boots and everything. So I found out that British Labs supposedly were a little bit better with chewing. Found a guy in North Alabama, bought Gunner. His dad's name was Gunner. Small, interesting fact. But, I raised them to the best that I could with just train. I never trained a hunting dog and just bought a book called the British Training for the American Retriever and just kind of followed it to the T. And he was just a robot. I mean, he would do anything. He would dive at the bottom of the pool. He would literally climb up like a 12-foot tree to get a dummy. I mean, I had him so in tune. He would do anything I asked him to do. And so I guess it was about my senior year in college, which would have been about 2008, I guess. And I decided, I was like, golly, somebody needs to make a dog kennel the way that Yeti Coolers made an ice chest, fix the core function, which for an ice chest was ice retention, and then make it better tenfold, on all the different functions. And I thought somebody needs to make a dog kennel that's safe, and then add all the little features that I want to add to it. And so when I had that idea, I'd started I started an advertising company before I graduated college so that I could stay in Oxford and continue to hunt and fish after I graduated. And I convinced myself pretty early I would buy it. I'd be willing to bet that other people would buy it too. So, I'm sorry if I'm dragging on here, but
no, continue.
I'd sold that advertising company once I decided this was a good enough idea to get started on, use that money that I sold the company with, and got started started Gunner Kennels. And for the longest time, I just didn't know what the name of the company was going to be. I didn't know what the name of the kennel was going to be, but I always called it to myself Gunner Kennels or Gun Dog Kennels. And I just put GDK for Gun Dog Kennels. And when it came down to actually get it going and molding the kennels and everything, I hadn't had anything come to me that was any better, and I thought, well, what better than to name it after the dog that I started this for, Gunner? So let's name it Gunner Kennels. And so that's kind of how the name came about.
And you said he's a 10-year-old now?
Yeah, he turns 10 in October.
Is he the only dog in the house?
Yeah, so we just had to put down our dog named Goose. She was a golden doodle that my wife bought when we were still dating. She was a great family dog, but she got cancer at the age of 7. That was a pretty tough deal. That was the first dog we had to put down. And then I bred Gunner 2 years ago or 3 years ago and got one of his puppies, whose name is Bullet, that actually got him back for dove season a couple weeks ago. And they hunted together great. It was kind of good timing where when Gunner gets tired, I send Bullet, and I was going to be able to hunt them every other day together during the waterfowl season. But they're kind of they don't see eye to eye, so they both have started fighting each other. And I've got a bunch of young kids that I just can't really have them fighting. So I got to figure out what to do with them. I just sent them up to my buddy up in New Jersey to try to get some of that aggression out of them, or kind of get them in more of a pack mentality, and we'll figure out what to do with them. But for right now, it's just Gunner here at our house with our 3 daughters under 3 with another one on the way.
Oh, so okay. You know what they often say about entrepreneurs, is that they're crazy. So now I know You're crazy. You got 3 under
right.
3 and 1 on the way.
Yeah. So it's 3.5 years old, 2 years old, and she just turned 9 months old today, I think. And then we just found out about a week or two ago that we've got another one. I'm sure it's going to be a girl with our, if history tells me anything. But yeah, we'll end up having 4 kids right at 48 months. So,
well, congratulations, man.
Thank you. I think it's, people ask me kind of what were we thinking, and I think my best answer is kind of glutton for punishment.
Yeah, man.
They're so awesome right now. I just keep on cranking them out.
That's crazy. We're hitting 6 months right now with our first one, and all of our friends have kind of told us that we've had it kind of easy with her, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, I don't envy that person that said this one was easy. So I think we're doing one and done. So
there you go.
But absolutely, man. That's how do you balance all that? That's quite impressive.
Well, God's not making any more hours in the day. Unfortunately, that means less time for the kids. But I mean, it's pretty hard. I mean, it's so. Last year, I'd known that my wife was pregnant, and it was very hard to go duck hunting with 2 kids, 2.5 and 1.5. And my wife was 7, 8 months pregnant during duck season. It was really hard to leave just because you feel bad.
This week's episode is brought to you by the following partners. Hunt Hickory Creek. New to Hunt Hickory Creek this year is their Central Kansas Lodge. They're going to be running hunters from the end of October all the way through January. And they're situated right between Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms, which combined can hold hundreds of thousands of birds at a time. And these guys are going to work their tails off. You got Chase, you got Cody, you got Scotty, and then you've even got Megan in there taking pictures. Guys, if you're going to be traveling outside of your state and you're going to pay for guide service, don't roll the dice. Come into our Facebook group, pick Chase or Scotty or Cody's brain, figure out who they are, and make sure that you're going to be booking a hunt with them, because they're not just awesome guides, they're great people. They're going to show you a great time. So, if you're going to hunt Kansas, hunt Hickory Creek. We're also brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries, the fastest growing, most affordable decoys on the market with unmatched customer service. And you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, or divebombindustries.com, and you can find Asher in our listeners group and get yourself into a large, effective, affordable, and easy to set up spread. It takes about a minute to set about a dozen, and they take up no space in the garage or truck. They're tough, extremely realistic, and go get yourself twice the decoys at the price, none of the hassle. Also brought to you by Toe Tags LLC. Now, federal migratory game bird laws apply in all 50 states. That includes yours. which includes gifting and tagging laws. Make sure to keep your birds separated and or tagged when transporting or storing them with other hunters' birds. Now, this includes from the field to home as well. Gifting in the field, though commonly done, never legal. It must be done at the donor or donee's personal abode. Hey, for other helpful hints and to keep yourself legal, go check Toe Tags LLC out on Facebook, or you can hit up Ryan in our Facebook group, or you can head on over to toetagsllc.com. So have fun, be safe, and keep it legal. We're also brought to you by Athlon Optics, which produce some of the finest shooting scopes and binoculars on the market. Their ED glass is top-notch and rivals the glass of binos 3 or 4 times their price. You're going to be able to pick a goose out in a depression from half a mile with these things. I'm telling you, they're tough, sturdy, and this is where Athlon Optics goes above and beyond their lifetime warranty, which is critical for us waterfowl hunters. I sport the Midas 10x42, and I'm extremely pleased with them. So head on over to Athlon Optics and get yourself a top-of-the-line binocular system for this season at a fraction of the price and a no-worries warranty. We're also brought to you by Freelance Hunt Stats, and I got to tell you, I'm really excited to be using Freelance Hunt Stats this year. If you've never logged your hunts in the past, start doing it. Especially with freelancehuntstats.com, because it's not just a journal. This thing can catalog all of your information, and you can go back, you can look at like how you do on sunny days. It's going to be a game changer for you. So head on over to freelancehuntstats.com and start logging your hunts this season. We're also brought to you by Duck Nuts, and now I've been fighting duck decoy rigging systems since I started. Wrapping, coiling, Texas rigs, talk about a pain in the butt. Now, I work hard, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the morning, it's time to go home, and Duck Nuts allows me to do that so that I can rig my decoys that all I got to do is throw them in a bag. And with our friction system, it's too easy to just pull the line and pack it up or just throw them out. It allows you to adjust for depth, and if you're tired of fighting your decoy rigs, head on over to ducknuts.com and use your 10% off code with Foul Front discount code. We're also brought to you by Gypsum Creek. Now, Gypsum Creek is a full-service gun dog training facility in the heart of the Midwest, and they are looking to build eager, confident, and reliable field companions through a unique approach that you don't find at many other places. So come check out Gypsum Creek Retrievers on their Facebook or Instagram, or you can hit up Evan, the owner, in our Facebook group. And I promise you, this guy loves your dog more than you do, and loves teaching him how to retrieve more than you do. I got to spend a weekend out with them, and it was an awesome time, I'm telling you. What they got going on over there, that's where you're going to want to send your dog. All right, we're also brought to you by the DuckTech mobile app. Increase your odds of success in the blind this year with the DuckTech mobile app. 3-time world duck calling champion Barney Califf teaches you how to make the most important duck sounds and what they mean to a duck and when to use them, the most important part. DuckTech is also available to download on the App Store and Google Play. With the season approaching, get the app today so you can put more ducks on the strap tomorrow. We're also brought to you by SRB Field Rests. No matter what, where, or how you hunt, SRB Field Rests got you covered. They're going to keep your shotgun, rifle, or your bow, or your crossbow safe, clean, and ready for in the field or on the range. Waterfowl hunters in a dry field, a muddy field, marshes, flooded fields, or flooded timber. SRB Field Rests has you covered. Go check them out. They've got a 10% discount code for you with Foul Front, all undercase, one word. We are also brought to you by Gunner Kennels, the market's only double-walled, roto-molded dog crate and 5-star crash-tested rated kennel. These American-made boxes come with a lifetime warranty, and the guys over at Gunner Kennels have done some crazy stuff to show you how strong they really are, like dropping 4,000 pounds on it, hammering it with a 630-pound sled, and tossing it off a 200-foot cliff and shooting it with a 12-gauge shotgun with 0 bullet penetration. You're hitting the road with your dog this season. Gunner Kennels is your safest bet, protecting your best friend and your investment. So head on over to gunnerkennels.com. We're also brought to you by HTR Innovations, and you have not heard of them yet, but I am hunting out of their A-frame this year, and they have one of the slickest inventions I've seen for waterfowl hunting. It's an awesome little gun stand for the marsh, go check them out at htrinnovations.com. Also, here's another big thing for you. Do you absolutely hate laying in your layout blind? Well, they got something for you. So go check them out. And our good buddy Jordan over there, he's going to be doing all their filming this year. Looking forward to seeing what they got. Okay, let's get back into this week's episode. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember thinking to myself, I will never, I'll never feel like I miss my, this is before I had a family, but I just remember thinking like, when I get on the road, I go and I'm gone and whatever. And then, I just finally just stopped wanting to go so I could be there with my family. And we did like a 10 or 11 day hunt between Louisiana and Mississippi for some, video and photo shoot stuff. And by like day 3, I was just like, geez, I got to get home. And I mean, even now, I booked all my hunts this year, pretty far in advance. Then we found out she was pregnant. So I'm kind of on pause for booking any new hunts, but I'm going like every other week. I'm going to, Louisiana next week or the week after to fish actually, but then we're going to Canada duck hunt. And, it's really hard. I mean, just got off a trip, for opening teal in Texas, and like I was gone for 5 or 6 days, and by day 2 I was just like, oh my gosh, get me home. Like I'm ready to fly home. It's not like I don't want to go kill ducks, but it's just I don't want to leave my wife to sit there and take care of 3 little toddlers while she's pregnant. It's tough. I mean, especially with running a business, it's just it's always something. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever. I'm just used to it, I guess, by now. I thought I was busy. We launched the company. We launched our website. So this all happened within 24 hours. We launched the website. We moved into our house that I was a contractor on. We had our first child, and my grandfather died all within 24 hours. And I thought I was busy then, but like looking back, like that was kind of a walk in the park compared to how busy we are now. But it comes and it goes, and you just take it as you can and work as hard as you can and keep going.
Yeah. You talk about when you're a 23-year-old man, you say, I'm going to find a woman that never ain't going to bother me about being out in the woods or anything like that. But then as a 28, 29, 30-year-old man, you're like, checking the phone, and you're like, and it's not because you're worried about them texting you and being in trouble. It's you can get a little distracted when you're out there and
sure.
Start missing home. It's funny,
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, my wife, Emily, she grew up with her dad and brothers all hunted and fished, and she's the last one to ever complain about stuff. But I tell you, I'll come home before she complains now, which is, in my mind, crazy. I can't believe that I would ever be like that, but you just don't want to miss anything with these little kids. They're a lot of fun.
Oh, I mean, in a blink of an eye, they gain 10 pounds and become a different human.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
Okay, so, back into Gunner Kennels, the Gunner Kennels story. So you talked a little bit about, you touched on it. You had this idea, and you had this urge. You identified this need in the market, and what needs to happen. How did the whole R&D / design process go? I don't know. Are you much of an engineering spirit, or like a sketcher or a doodler or anything like that? But how did it go?
Yeah, so I wish that I did. I've looked into engineering degrees. I mean, I wish that I would have studied engineering. I've just always, my dad could build anything with his hands growing up. If we needed to build anything, outdoor shower or new workbench, whatever, he would build it. And I've always just, figured it out. I think by the time I was old enough, I kind of stole all his tools and am always buying new tools and just enjoy being able to build anything that I want to with my hands. And, but it's not the proper way, I'm sure. I mean, I just kind of figured out. And so, in terms of going with an engineer to actually get it designed, it was back and forth continuously. But the cool thing is, since I was never properly trained, to an engineer, if I give them all the specs on what I want, they'll design it, but it might not look good, or it might have a couple of functional flaws. And coming from my background in my mind, because I just graduated in the business school at Ole Miss, I'd say, well, what about this? What about doing it this way? And I always am able to bring something to the table in terms of like outside thoughts that an engineer normally wouldn't have thought of. But I do wish that I was a little bit more well versed in engineering, because I'm kind of the guy, when you gotta drill a hole, you're gonna try like 3 sizes before that just to make, until you figure it out, versus like getting a caliper out and going, well, this is a 5/32 hole, and go ahead and drill it. So not much experience on my end in terms of engineering, but kind of more of a just figure it out as you go type guy.
Yeah, I can definitely sentiment with that. So, but for sure, okay. So, being an entrepreneur, in this day, well, frame this for me. How old are you, Addison?
I just turned 32.
Just turned 32. So, being an entrepreneur in this day and age, and then more specifically in this industry, the kind of outdoor and hunting industry, I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that are aspiring to do something. Maybe they have this idea, maybe they don't have this idea, but they have the urge and the drive. Kind of tell your story as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I've kind of taken a step back. I always saw my father. He started his own company 30-something years ago, and he was always able to make all of our, sporting events and whatever growing up. And I didn't know what I was going to do when I was growing up. I just knew I wanted to do my own thing like him. And so when I was going through college, I was in a business school, but I didn't necessarily say I'm going to go into the marketing side of things or whatever. I don't know. In high school, I think I'd always had a lawn care company or whatever. And even before I graduated, I thought, well, I want to stay here in Oxford. I'm just going to start a company so I can sustain living here. And I saw an opening for an advertising company, so I started it and went with it.
Can you sidestep a little bit and tell us about that? Because I read up a little bit on that, and that's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started a company called The Indoor Advantage. It was basically a restroom billboard advertising company. So Oxford's got a lot of bars and restaurants, and we'd place framed advertisements above the urinals in the men's restrooms and on the back of the women's stalls in the women's restrooms. And I mean, I think we if anybody's familiar with Ole Miss, there's a large tailgating atmosphere in the Grove on game day, and they've got these things called the Hottie Toddy Potties. There's probably at least a dozen, maybe 16 of them that are just really large, high-end, walk-in restrooms. And we grew that company to, let's see, I think over 40-something locations, and we had a couple national clients. We grew it to over 40 or 60 actual advertising clients, but I knew nothing about advertising. I really didn't like advertising. I didn't like anything about it. I was not the salesman. I just kind of found a need and a niche and went with it. And luckily, I mean, I was able to make it work, and I kind of call that my master's. So I graduated Ole Miss Business School, and after that, I was running this company full time and was able to pay my, what I needed to live and go out and hunt and fish. And I learned a lot about business, and then I learned a lot about when I sold that company after I came up with the idea for Gunner Kennels. I think I started that company with $2,000 and turned around and sold it, and it was a great return, and was able to start, my next venture. So there's a lot of mistakes made, just like with Gunner Kennels. I mean, it's all been trial and error. I'm not like some guru on starting companies or anything like that. We kind of go as we see and figure it out as we go. But so yeah, was that enough on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what would you say? So a kid or someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to turn my side hustle into my full time." What do you warn them against?
And it's so, I hear that all the time, and I hear people call me. People call me or email me, "Hey, remember me? I was cousins with your, a guy you went to school with in third grade." I mean, it's very, very simple, but it's so hard to actually do. It's just like, how do you become a good person? Well, do the right thing. It's just very hard to do the right thing. Or how do you get in shape? You work out. Well, it's very hard to go work out every single day. And to me, with starting a business, it's just you just got to do it. You know, everybody has an idea for, I got this new idea for this new type of duck call or this new type of product, but really, it's you got to be blind to all the risk, and you just got to go for it. I mean, there's no secrets. There's no secret sauce. I'm not a Harvard graduate. You know, I don't know all the answers, but I just knew I'm going to give this my all. And I had a great support team with my wife and my family that just, you know, knew I was going to do this regardless, and go for it. You know, every day it's a struggle. It's still a struggle. We're 3.5 years in, and you know, those first 2.5 years were like every other day. I never really considered the risk that I was going through or that I was putting my family through. I mean, my house, my truck, everything that I've got is tied up in this company. If it fails, they come after me first. But you've got to be blind to the risk. And you just got to say, this is going to work. I'm going to make it work no matter what, and do it. And so, I mean, that's the only advice that I can give.
I think if anybody out here that's listening, that's an entrepreneur or, you know, has started something and put their money and time and hard work into it, they'll know this. But I don't think a lot of people that, you know, maybe haven't, you know, thought about this. How do you get through those nights where you're laying in bed staring at the ceiling and the mind is going 100 miles an hour, not knowing how you're going to make this one problem that seems so huge? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So coffee, number one, whiskey, maybe number two, but second part's a joke. No, so I mean, every single day it's going to be, so my father, he was a little bit against me starting this company just because he started his own company 30 years ago. And when I told him I wanted to do this, you know, a father wants best for his son with little to no risk. And I think that he had seen the hardships that he went through to start his own company and kind of didn't know anything about dog kennels and said, maybe you should do something else. But, you know, after I finally sat down and said, I'm going to do this, he got on board. And he told me, you know, finally I remember calling him going, God dang, man, every single day it's like make or break. Like, we're going to die or we're going to live. And he said, Addison, every single day you're going to have the most gigantic problem out there where you're going to think, you know, the company's not going to survive. And basically it's a giant wall, and you got to find a way. What separates you from other people is what he said was, you got to find a way to go around it. You got to go over it. You got to go under it, or you just got to bust through that damn thing. And when I thought about it, I was like, that's exactly right. I mean, I've already broke through X amount of walls. What's another X amount of walls? You know, you just got to keep on going. You got to figure out a way around it. And luckily, you know, I've been lucky enough to have a team around me that's help us get through those walls. But at the end of the day, and at the very beginning, it was Emily, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, with, hey, I'm going to do this. And she said, go, you know, you got it, go. And so you just, that's kind of, I call it dumb luck or blind luck, because you don't really consider all of the risk that you're putting yourself through. But I think that, you know, I was lucky enough to not consider all those risks and just keep on going.
Right. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the evolution, maybe a couple of good stages from, okay, so Gunner Kennels, it started off as you, Addison, and then you said your then girlfriend at the time with some support. Talk a little bit about the team and the product and the facility, kind of in, you know, evolution stages.
Yeah, so let's see, we launched the company officially in 2014, I believe. I was doing everything. I was customer service. I was production manager. Our manufacturer's over in North Carolina, and I'd drive over there all the time, and we were just trying to get product out there. We had been rated from the Subaru of America and Center for Pet Safety, the top performer in a crash test study. And that went all over USA Today and Good Morning America and everything. So we got blown up on a PR standpoint, very early. But I was doing everything. I mean, I remember our first trade show we did in Nashville. This must have been 2014. Yeah. I got shingles, and just from trying to do everything myself, I was working 18 hours a day nonstop, and all of a sudden I started, not feeling good, and ended up in the hospital with shingles. That's when my board of directors said, "You got to get some help. You got to hire some people." So I hired a couple people, and that took some of the load off my belt. But I mean, up until 6 months ago, I was still working at least 12 to 14 hours days. It's a never ending deal, and you got to build out your team. You got to build out, all stars is what I call them, just guys and girls that'll do anything to kind of that drink their Kool-Aid and do everything that they can to make this company successful. But, right now we've got manufacturers in Iowa. We ship down full truckloads of kennels to our warehouse in Nashville. We finish out the assembly work and ship orders out the door. But, I'm not sure if I answered that right. What did I miss from the questions?
Absolutely. I just wanted to know a little bit about how many people do you have working for you? Like, who's on the Gunner Kennel team?
Oh, it's probably right at 10 right now. I mean, we say 6 months ago, we were probably at 8 or 7. We stay right around 10 people right now.
Awesome. And are you guys, what's the headquarters, what's the home base look like?
So we're right below the airport in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a small warehouse and office. We are definitely running out of space, but we needed the space quick when I was transitioning from manufacturers from North Carolina to Iowa, and we found a place and made it work. And we'll probably outgrow it here pretty soon, especially with new products that we're coming out with. But it's a small team, and everybody still kind of does everything that they need to do. I mean, our accountant the other day that we just hired, she looked at me and said, "Look, I can do accounting, or I can go back in the warehouse and help fulfill orders. I'll do whatever you need me to do." And I'm like, "There you go, you're hired." Like that's the mentality, because that's how everybody is you got to, if you're say the marketing director, you're going to be doing marketing one day and you're going to be fulfilling orders the next.
Right.
It's still a startup mentality, which is good. I mean, it's lean. Everybody puts a lot more care into it in terms of the customer, but we're at a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say one thing about the kennels. And anybody that you don't even have to. You can just look at a picture of it, and you can know that that's a solid thing. Who's your have any of the teammates, have they said, "Hey, should we have this?" Or where'd all the little accessory ideas come from?
Kind of from customers.
Yeah.
That want something. I mean, I'm working really, where I'm best suited at is new product development. And so I'm working on a lot of new products right now and a lot of accessories, but it kind of comes from the customer. If they say, "Hey, the kennel's great, but I wish there was some ventilation." So then, if we hear enough of that, then we'll go build a fan. And so it's kind of half from the customers, half from what I want in my daily use of a dog kennel, or just with a dog, what I use from a dog or for a dog that I think could be built better. I mean, everything out there, you tell me, but everything out there is junk for dogs. And there's so many different things that I want to do. It's just kind of prioritize it and make a list of what you want to make better, because that's what we're going to move into, is not only just dog kennels, but all products for dogs. We're American made products, and we're lifetime guaranteed. Now that we're direct to consumer, we've got some flexibility to pretty much take aim at anything we want in the sport dog, especially marketplace, and see what we can do better.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing that I greatly appreciate. So, I have a decent job, and I have me and my wife, we do all right. We scrap by. And I'll tell you, you guys partnering with A Firm And people might say, "Oh, why don't you just put that on a credit card, or just save up the money for it." It's definitely nice to being able to spread out a couple, basically paying $25 to say, "Hey, I would like to cut this, investment into 3 payments," which is doing that definitely is important. Because as soon as my wife saw the Gunner Kennels and she kind of knew that was the way forward, the only way that she would be comfortable transporting our dogs 3 hours, probably every other week, up to Nebraska and back, it was nice to be able to kind of take that edge off.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. So I remember the first time somebody asked me about that, I was like, I'm not going to offer financing. I didn't know anything about it, and but really, it's a high dollar product. I mean, we would love for everybody to be able to use the product, but some people, can't afford it right off the bat. And to go through a firm, it helps you out to where you can get whatever. I mean, there's a lot of big companies that use that company firm, and I've been literally suggesting that to anybody that sells a high-end product online, because it's increased our bottom line. It's increased our, I originally thought, well, are people going to use it? And I thought, well, if people are going to buy it through that, maybe they would have used their credit card. But after looking at all the numbers, no, it works, and it's something. There's some type of word for it, some type of financing that's not bad. It
doesn't.
It's not like credit.
It's not like putting it on a credit card and then
right.
You know what I mean? Carrying over a balance.
Yeah.
It's literally a small loan.
Yeah. So
instead of
it's good. I mean, yeah. I think that we've done well with it, and I'm thrilled to be able to see people that maybe couldn't have just paid for it right off the bat, use that, and they can still get their kennel and pay it off. I mean, it's great.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, we've talked a little bit about the past, we've talked about the present, and then you've alluded a little bit to the future. What's the future of Gunner Kennels?
Oh man, I'm sitting here in my garage looking at a new product right now that I don't think I can disclose.
Dang it. Not even for the Foul Front Waterfowl podcast?
I can't even get into it. We're Gunner Kennels right now, and like I kind of said, it's kind of what don't you like about the dog world? What products don't you like? And literally, they're all junk. I mean, everything that I know of is just BS, made for profit, sent to China, and if it breaks, great. That means the consumer's going to buy another one because it broke. I mean, but we're trying to make stuff that lasts, and it's a very good niche to be in. That it's for your dog that you love, and the dog loves you, and you just want to provide them with the best possible product. So, I've got a new product that I'm looking at right now that should be for sale by the end of Q4. But for 2019, we're going to be getting into a lot of different products in terms of the gun dog world, and then just the general, I call it the family pet world. I don't think that I can disclose any of it, but it should be pretty interesting.
Now you're starting your own podcast, right?
Yeah. And on that, I mean, yeah, it's definitely all of our products. I try to over-engineer just like Yeti. I mean, I remember the first time I heard about a Yeti was, oh, I don't know if I need that. And then the first time I saw one, I was like, wow, I've broken 15 Coleman coolers in the last 2 years. Maybe I'll give this a try. So it's along the same lines. It definitely some similarities, but we've got a podcast coming out. It's called Inside Gunner's Kennel. We were supposed to release it at the end of August, but I want to make sure it's perfect. So we've got about 10 or 11 episodes recorded. We'll probably release it by mid-November. It's kind of aimed at the younger entrepreneurial type in the outdoor industry. I just want to tell my story. We're not trying to sell anything. We're not trying to really do anything, but tell our story and give my opinion on different stuff in the outdoor space. But I don't know if it's going to have legs or not. We'll just put it out there and see how it goes.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I'll definitely be giving that a listen because whether or not people realize it, and I'm nowhere in it as deep as someone like you is. I did not realize starting a podcast in itself is kind of like starting obviously you can run it for, not for profit and you can take up all your time and all that stuff. But, when you start talking, bringing on sponsors, things like that, it becomes a business. And
yeah, it's your own company.
Yeah. And, something I wasn't that well versed in when I got into it. But I knew that I wanted to be legitimate. So I, started it off as a company, literally on episode number 2. Filed the LLC and all that, just, in the hopes that someday it maybe could be something that I get to go around and talk to people in this, fine industry and around this, great country. And maybe it would turn into something someday where I just get to go talk to people and perhaps that would put food in my family's belly. So
yeah, no, y'all are doing a great job. Once you hear mine, you might be like, well, I don't know about that. But no, you're doing a good job.
No, I'm very, very excited to definitely hear from your guys' podcast. And it's funny. It's whenever you talk about starting a podcast, it always kind of seems easy right in the beginning, right?
Oh my gosh, sounds like a good idea. I just got back from a teal hunt in Texas, and I brought this what was that recorder you said you had?
The Zoom H4n?
Yeah, I got one of those, and I was planning on interviewing the guys from Quack Rack and Lifetime Decoys and Rock House, and shoot, you get to a camp, and we all been hunting all day, and it's just hard to actually make the time to sit down and interview them.
Oh, yeah, because, really at the end of the day, your friends, they don't want you to interview them.
Right.
Well, some of them do. But
yeah, so it's tough, man. For the first 6 episodes, I'd go to my buddy's recording studio every Wednesday and we'd record. And, it's hard enough just to get 3 people's schedule line and with guests and stuff. It's pretty big. It's a big production that people don't really appreciate. I guess until they try to do it, because I didn't realize it was this hard.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's one of those things, and then finding, carving the time away from your regular job to sit down and do a little bit of podcast editing and try to go through all the ums, the ahs, and I think as
Yeah. No, you're doing good. I listened to a few, and I think it'll be better produced than ours for sure.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you got. On that note, should we transition over a little bit into a little bit of hunting?
Sure.
So, what's the duck / goose hunting like in your neck of the woods?
So, growing up in Middle Tennessee, I always thought that you had to drive at least 6 hours to get into good duck hunting. Oddly enough, there is good duck hunting here in Middle Tennessee, but I've just never done it. I've always gone to Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. I just got done with the trip where we started out in South Louisiana, shot a couple gators, or we're on the boat with a couple guys that shot some gators, and then we went over to El Campo, Texas, and limited out a few days teal hunting. But I'll be spending this season in the Mississippi Delta and some parts around Stuttgart, Arkansas, duck hunting. But no, I was not fortunate enough to learn how to hunt public ducks in Middle Tennessee, although there is a lot of opportunity. I've just been too busy and didn't have a boat when I was younger. But I don't know. It's pretty good.
Awesome. So, I suppose kind of one thing that I've learned a little bit about the podcast is that you kind of have to make your hunts count. So you go out with people that, you're closely affiliated with and you're making opportunities and things like that. But Do you ever just get a chance to go out, just Addison and Gunner and, Dad or whoever it is?
Everything that I do now is trying to make it business. So like, I am going to Canada without a photographer in middle October. Mm-hmm. But besides that, I'm sure we'll still get some pictures, but there's nothing that I'm doing now that I'm not going to call business, because there's always good photo ops.
Sure.
If I had my own land, maybe, yeah. But for right now, probably not.
Yeah. And, how does that influence the way you hunt? Because, when you're in college and when you're out hunting on your own, you're breaking your back, you're putting the scouting in, and, now, at least what I found is that I went on 3 hunts during teal season here, and I was, recording for every single one of them, and I didn't throw a single decoy out myself.
Yeah, so
or bring a single one of my decoys. It was crazy.
No, I'd never been on a guided hunt up until a couple of years ago when I was telling you I went to Kansas. I always thought that duck hunting was supposed to be miserable. You're supposed to get on a four-wheeler, to get on a boat and carry multiple decoys and fall in the water and freeze your ass off. And like literally, it was the best thing ever, but I never knew that it was going to be so like on dry field hunting where you can just drive up, drop off a case of shells and a blind. I just never knew it was going to be like that. But no, I don't know. Everything that I now, especially with how little time I've got, I'm always trying to make sure that if I'm going to go, we're going to get good content out of it. Gunner's so old now that we got to get as much content with him as we can. I just actually texted you a picture of him sleeping in the kennel down in my shop. But no, it's everything that I try to do, I can try to make it business related.
Yeah, I feel more and more like a reporter than a hunter. And that got a little concerning to me. I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm going to have to just go do 100 burpees in the mud somewhere and then go try to shoot a duck or something so I can replicate the miserable that I was getting used to. So that's funny how you said, duck hunting's supposed to be miserable. So
yeah.
But
not that dry field hunting. That's something pretty new to me that I didn't realize it could be that good, where all the ducks come and land on your face versus like you just being pissed off on a small pond in Arkansas and just pass by shoot.
Last season I had it really good. I could drive the truck straight up to this little farm pond that we had, and it was a little small pond right off of an oil pond in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And the guy that had the oil pond, he didn't let anybody hunt around it because he didn't want any, it was part of the contract. And so we'd just run birds off that oil pond all day. And we'd show up a half hour, 45 minutes before shooting light and pull the truck right up, drop everything off, and then someone go park the truck, and we'd be set up in about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And so that was kind of a good transition. But yeah. I did do. I've been actually all public land hunting this year, which is
nice.
It's been pretty nice. But I got to get out there and do some of my own scouting and kind of make it feel like I worked for it again. So
yeah,
for sure. Oh, I just got your photo there.
That's Gunner sticking his head out, sleeping in the kennel.
Oh, that's great. A little half kennel situation you got there?
Yeah.
Perfect. But yeah, okay, so, what kind of stuff should we be looking to see from you this season, if you can tell at all?
So we've got a really cool video coming out, and I think the beginning of October with Con Outdoors. We started this in 2014. They came and filmed a hunt at my best friend's camp in Yazoo City, Mississippi. They came and filmed us around the warehouse and at my home this year. I've already seen, it's almost finalized, but it's going to be really cool. It really does tell the story of Gunner Kennels. And honestly, I kind of get choked up at the end because, I sit there and talk about how it was just me and Gunner. And then somebody introduced me to, my now wife, Emily, that said, so they met me because of Gunner. And then they said, look, I got this girl that you're going to marry. And it's just a cool story. And I almost get choked up talking about it now, but I mean, it's really cool film. And then we're going to be filming a lot more this year for just upcoming projects, that won't be out till probably 2019, 2020. But, we're just trying to produce as much good content as we can. And sorry, I just realized how much I'm saying. But we're trying to film as much content as we can for the next coming years.
Nice. So question for you. Since starting Gunner Kennels, has it opened a lot of hunting opportunities to you?
It has. I just haven't been able to take anybody up on it. It's been really cool. Like literally, I still do. I still have to beg people to take me hunting. And then we get invited to all these different hunts, and I'm just been busy and can't take them up on it. But it definitely has. If I was a single man, I would take up a lot of people on a lot of hunts. I just hadn't been able to.
Yeah. Okay, so now there is a young entrepreneur out there listening to this podcast. What do you tell them?
If you've got a product or an idea, you just got to go for it. There's literally nobody that can convince you otherwise. You've got to put your, trying to think of a better way to put this, but you just got to put it all out on the line. You got to go as hard as you can, and you can't take no for an answer. You just got to go. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. I think a lot of times when people look into being an entrepreneur, there's that kind of that initial barrier for them, and it's probably only $1,000, $1,500, but that weeds a lot of people out.
It seems everybody that looks at someone and goes, man, that's awesome. It just got started and they're just making money and great. But I mean, I borrowed my wife's right when we got married. I spent all my money on starting this company. I borrowed my wife's last $600 in her savings account to apply for our patents. I guess to finalize the patents. I mean, it takes so much more than you would think. And it's, I guess it always might seem easy or whatever, but you just got to go for it. There's literally, because there's always going to be things that pop up that take money or take your time, but you just got to say, screw it, I'm going to do this. I'm going for it.
You can always make more money. Can't make more. You can't make more time, and you can't make more. You can't make a missed opportunity come back.
Right.
So
that's right.
For sure. Well, hey, I got a couple questions that I ask every guest that I've been dying to ask you.
Sure.
All right. You only get to go hunting one more time. Where are you going? Who are you going with? What are we hunting? And, what's the weather conditions like?
Oh, I'd have to say in Yazoo City, Mississippi, at my best friend Travis Ledge's camp. It was an old catfish farm that they stopped farming about 9 years ago, and it's not like a damn phenomenal jam up duck shoot, but it's us doing it on our own. When Travis and I were there, we do it on our own, and that's what's important to me. And also, they have a lot of ducks. I mean, they've got a lot of good ducks in the Mississippi Delta. Weather conditions are hopefully colder than it typically is, so I'm not getting hit by mosquitoes. What was the other part of the question?
We talked about weather, where it was at, who you were with. What kind of ducks are you shooting?
It's going to be mostly all gadwall, some teal, some mallards, and maybe if we're lucky, some pintail. I've never been a big snob about types of ducks. I'm just trying to get Gunner some ducks to retrieve. So if we're shooting gray ducks all day, great, go for it. Like, I don't care. I'll eat them all.
Now,
and he'll retrieve them all.
You kind of said that, like, you shoot a lot of gray ducks.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at at Travis Camp in Mississippi, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, like, I shoot a lot of widgeon. I shoot a lot of ringnecks, and then we get days, it seems like, where all we shoot is gadwall.
Yeah.
And it is always super exciting for me to see that white speculum, and because I love shooting them. They're just really cool birds. I didn't realize they were so prevalent over there in Tennessee.
Yeah, well, that's in Mississippi, but it's
sorry.
No, I mean, I'm just there to get Gunner birds. I could care less what it's retrieving. To watch him work is where I'm happiest. So if that's a spoonbill, so be it, you know?
Right. I always tell everybody the only time the spoonbill is not a fun bird is when you're eating it. That's the only time.
Yeah. You hadn't had me cook it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I got a couple recipes that I'll email you, but no, we can cook anything. You got to remember, I went to college in North Mississippi. We can cook anything.
Now I do when we get a good group of divers. So we'll have days where we shoot a 5 or 6 man limit of ringnecks, and those days I always know I make what we call I call it surf and turf chili. And the surf is ringneck, and the turf is venison.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't allow me to put beans in my chili, if you know what I'm saying. So we put a little bit of quinoa in there, and it's a heck of a chili recipe.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I cook whole lot of ringnecks. Although we did cook venison chili tonight, and I'm the one. My wife likes the beans. I'm the one that doesn't like the beans in our venison chili, but no, we'll have to compare recipes.
Yeah, I put quinoa in there, and then I don't know about you, and this might be a Nebraska/Kansas thing, but we always have cinnamon rolls with our chili.
Nice. Hadn't heard of that.
Oh, you said you just made some chili?
Yeah, we're more of a Fritos and cheddar cheese.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, no, you go ahead and you make yourself a thing of cinnamon rolls next time.
Yeah,
and you dip that cinnamon roll in that chili, or you just eat it right there. You know, it's
I've never heard of that.
Well, it stems from the public school system, and whatever contract they had with whatever the food company is that does school foods, but somehow. Cinnamon rolls wound up right on chili days.
That's hilarious.
So instead of rolls, you got cinnamon rolls on chili days, and I think that just kind of became a Midwest staple. I've talked to people from Iowa and North Kansas that was the case, but nowhere else. Everybody else thinks I'm crazy, but I always convince them. So
yeah, no, I'm going to try that next time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're doing a Thanksgiving special episode where we're going to talk a lot about recipes and basically Thanksgiving hunting traditions and stuff like that. So definitely hope to hear from the Gunner Kennels crew on that episode.
I'll send you. So if you have any dove, I just tried a teal yesterday, but if you have any dove left over, I've got the best recipe I've ever had in my entire life. That my buddy from North Alabama showed me about 3 weeks ago. It's incredible. I'll text it to you here in a minute, but it's the best I've ever had.
Oh yeah, what does it entail?
You got to pound it out. You got to fry it, and then you've got to. There's like a sauce you mix. You toss it into. Okay. It's basically like garlic. The recipe calls for honey, but we actually use maple syrup, it's garlic, butter, maple syrup, some hot sauce, mix it all around, and then you dip it in this smoked chipotle raspberry sauce. It's incredible. I mean, I've literally never had anything like it, and I always thought that I had the best duck/dove recipe out there, and pretty impressed. I've told all my buddies about it. Like 10 of them have done it, and they've all said it's the best thing ever too.
So at the Page household, Monday nights are pizza night, and I have not yet eaten my pizza, and so I am starving now. And you just painted a pretty delicious picture, so it might not. I have to check that out.
I'm going to text it to you right now.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, all right, hey, why don't we go ahead and reiterate? Are you guys still doing the different colors for kennels right now?
So we sold out of the gray. We're going to get more in about 2 weeks, and then we're about sold out of the green and tan. And it's a limited run. I don't know if we're going to do the tan and green one again, but we're definitely going to do the gray one again.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of whenever we get it in, we're going to sell it, but we don't want to take orders beforehand.
Right.
We just want to, once we get them in, sell them and go.
You don't want to create too much overwork on it.
Right.
Yeah, I get you. No, that was some pretty cool stuff. I saw that and I thought to myself, "Dang it! Why I already got it."
Yeah.
So,
we got a couple of people that said that.
For sure. And then obviously got some new products coming out here shortly.
Yep.
So be looking forward to that. And then in mid-November, you said, or late November?
For what?
For your podcast.
Yeah, that'll be hopefully mid-November.
Okay, awesome. And the title of that's going to be called?
Inside Gunner's Kennel.
Inside Gunner's Kennel. Well, greatly, looking forward to that. I love podcasts. I don't even listen to music anymore. So
I think that's why I'm like 50-50 on it, because I don't like podcasts all that much. I feel like they're audiobooks, which I don't like because that reminds me of summer reading when I was younger. But it should be some good stuff. I mean, we got some good guys on there, and it should be, as long as I feel like it's going to help somebody in some way, then we'll do it. I don't want to sound salesy or, like we're sitting there trying to sell kennels, which we're not. I think we just want to try to get into our story and help people out with whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then from just the entrepreneurial aspect, I think that's the key thing, because I think there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of really good ideas. And they're young or they're not, and they just don't know how to start the whole process. So I think that'll be great.
Definitely.
So, well, all right. Shall we wrap it up here, Addison?
Sure.
All right. So go ahead and if you haven't already, go check out GunnerKennels.com and keep your ears tuned for their Inside Gunner's Kennel. And you can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, all that. You guys even have a Gunner Kennels discussion den, which I'm in. That helps a lot of people, I think, for their sizing issues, because I think that's the number one thing you guys probably deal with, huh?
Yeah, it's and if you hear my 3-year-old screaming in the room above me, yeah, it's trying to figure out what saying the intermediate kennel. The outside dimensions are a large kennel.
Yeah.
But the interior, because it's double walled, is an intermediate. So it's hard to figure that out. It's good to have other people sit there and say, no, I've got an 80-pound lab if it's an intermediate or a large, just to be able to have, people that are not affiliated with Gunner Kennels give their opinion. It really helps out.
Yep. And anybody in Central Kansas, just give me a text, and I will probably run into you within the next, month or two, and you can load your dog up in my kennel and see which one you want, because I've got the intermediate and I've got the large that my wife bought. So we
definitely,
we can get you hooked up. So, but all right, Addison. Hey, I really appreciate the talk and taking time out of your Monday night here. It's always rough starting the week off, and I appreciate it all.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, and let me know if you need anything else.
Absolutely. Hey, any words for the listeners of the Foul Front before you head off?
Have a good season.
Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Addison.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. I want to give a huge shout out, like we always do during this time, to our partners. So we got Hunt Hickory Creek, which, if you're not familiar with Hunt Hickory Creek, that's Chase and Cody and Scotty and Megan. They're all in the group, and these are a good group of people. I talked to at least one of them, mostly Chase, at least 2 or 3 times a week, whether it's deer hunting or talking about birds or just rubbing in the fantasy football smack talk and all that stuff. Anyways, hey, don't put your money in something that you can't first validate or like get to know or something like that. You can get in there, you can literally see what you're going to be getting out there in the blind with these guys and these guides. So go check them out. Good people, even better people to go hunt with. So we've also got Dive Bomb Industries, and Dive Bomb Industries, they did a lot of good work for us and put a lot of our listeners into some really affordable spreads. And I am just pumped to get out and start targeting some big ducks with my spread that we're all set up with over here, and just really excited to put the 2D ideology to the test. So all right, we've also got Toe Tags LLC. You guys heard Ryan's story, and if you haven't heard Ryan's story, go check it out. Episode 23. But anyways, just check out. Go look for the Toe Tags LLC story. Whether or not you want to argue that it is actually a regulation or an enforceable law or anything, I mean, the law is the law, and I'm not going to put myself in a position, at least anymore, to where I can be, whether or not I get a ticket is at the discretion of the, investigating officer or however things are going that day. So just for a couple cents a day, or hunt, I should say, you can be fully taken care of. You already spent all the money on the gas and stuff, so go tag your birds and make sure you're not throwing them in a big old pile. And, go ahead and stay legal with Toe Tags LLC. We've also got Gypsum Creek Retrievers. Evan over there in Gypsum with a creek running, through the back of his yard, is running a awesome little kennel. And I got to go out and I got to go hunt with his flagship dog and got to see the way that he interacts with that dog and just the way he talks about, his business and his dogs and the dog he's training. Like it's really humbling to see a guy who's like so ate up with it and is just in it, and he's just doing it out of passion and decided to make his passion something that can put dinner on the table. It's a heck of a deal. We've also got Athlon Optics. Athlon Optics, go check these guys out. They have some of the finest shooting scopes on the market, and their binoculars are bang up. Literally, they are the same quality as something that you'd pay 2 or 3 times the price of, and they're just a solid feeling binocular, and it's nice. I'm not going to do any direct comparisons out there, but I've held a lot of binoculars in my time, and I'm very satisfied with these ones. So go check them out at Athlon Optics. I've got the Midas 10x42, and it is suiting my needs perfectly out here in Kansas. All right. Next, we've got Freelance Hunt Stats. I've always logged and tracked all the birds that we've harvested and whatnot, but it wasn't until Elliot showed me his freelance hunt stats at freelancehuntstats.com that it's not just a journal anymore. Now it's a database. Now I can go through and I can filter all the stuff that I want to know. Windy days, cloudy days, days I shot all blue-winged teal, like things of that nature, and even by location. And it's super affordable. Just don't buy one Monster this month or one Starbucks coffee, and you've got yourself what you need to keep track. Plus, super helpful when you go to fill out those HIP permits. So, all right. We've also got duck nuts. That's DUKNUTZ. And if you haven't seen the videos or pictures of me utilizing these things yet, I freaking hate dealing with Texas rigs, and I take out a lot of new hunters, and I'm always sitting there untangling stuff or unwrapping keels, and instead with these duck nuts, you just throw them on there, and all you gotta do is literally you just stretch out the line, or you can slide the weight all the way towards the decoy or down, and you just throw these things in a bag. It's awesome. Hey, they even came out with a carrying. It always seems that my wife is always walking in whenever I'm doing the duck nuts commercial, because she's just looking at me because she thinks it's hilarious. But they just came out with a bag, and it's called the Nut Sack, and it's pretty cool. You can strap your shotgun to it. They've also got hats too. And for my boy Wilson listening out there, Hunter over at Duck Nuts, he made a hat just for you, buddy, and all you other coot shooters out there. So, but yeah. So good stuff. Go check them out. Just a really great product. We've also got the DuckTech mobile app. And the DuckTech mobile app is an app that's designed to help you get better at calling ducks. It's got Barney Califf on there, a 2 or 3 time world duck calling champion, and he does the call, tells you what it's for, why to do it, when to do it, and then you can actually go in and press record yourself, and then you can hear it side by side, so you can see how you want to tweak it up. Pretty cool concept. A lot of times, you're just dealing with like a DVD or some other, like, here's the sounds, now make this sound. And that's not this right here. This is something that you can do on your commute. So, pretty sweet. All right, next we got Gunner Kennels. And Gunner Kennels, if you have never laid your hands on a Gunner Kennel, probably some of the finest craftsmanship or example of overbuilding something. And that's perfect. That's fine with me. My wife, she loves those things because it keeps the babies safe, the fur babies. And at the end of the day, you're kind of charged with the responsibility of that animal's life. And, I wear my seatbelt. I don't text and drive. Why am I going to, just throw my dog in the back of the truck to, be in jeopardy if something were to happen? And then newest partner that I'm super excited to get you guys into is HTR Innovations. That's HTR, like Hunter, Innovations. And they've got the coolest little thing. It's a stand that you can put out in the marsh that holds your gun, holds my recording equipment, box of shells, all this other stuff. Check it out on the Instagram page. They've also got an A-frame blind that they come out with that is super simple to set up, just like stupid simple. And then they've got, for you guys that absolutely hate layout blinds, they've got a layout blind insert, and makes that thing just about as comfy as the living room couch. So go check them out. And then last but not least, we've got SRB field rests. So you hiked into this muddy field, set out all your decoys, had your bag ready to go with your gun in it, and then you take your gun out and you just set it in the mud, or you're constantly making sure that you don't fumble this thing around. These 2 little stakes from SRB field rests, stick them there, lay your gun down on them. You didn't come this far to like jam your gun up with a little bit of mud because you got excited about some geese in your face. So that was really dramatic. I have a little bit of a stuffy nose, it sounds like, but all right. We just want to let you guys know these companies are the bee's knees. These are cool people, great people. I'm not just throwing them on here so that I can take up your time and make money or whatever it is. I believe in these products. I believe in these people, and I'm a huge fan of somebody turning their passion into their everyday job so that they can try to escape some sort of 9-to-5 where somebody else is their boss. And I'm a huge fan of that. Trying to do that myself. So, yep. Before, think twice before you buy something similar to these. And they help bring you this show. And so if you like this show, you'd like it to be around, check these people out. So, all right, everybody, safe hunting.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Foul Front Waterfowl Podcast. Please come join us on our Facebook group, the Foul Front Waterfowl Podcast group, where you can connect with a good group of hunters, because we're all in this together. We need to act like it so that hopefully our great grandkids will be hunting ducks over our favorite public lands. We also ask that you go ahead and give us a written review on iTunes and give us 5 stars if you think we deserve it. And we really do want to hear back from you so that we can give you the best possible content. And if you get in on that Facebook group, you can get in there and you can ask questions and you can tell us what you want to hear next, or you can tell us what you don't like. And we'll be sure to tailor things to our listeners. So, all right. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next week.